I always thought I understood boundaries. With Jason, they were silent, mutual, and unspoken. 2 years of sharing a cramped off-campus apartment had made us something like brothers, close enough to finish each other's sandwiches, but distant enough to never talk about what kept us up at night. Asterisk, he was the kind of straight guy that gay men like me are taught to stay away from. Tall, sun-warmed skin, eternally disheveled hair, and a soft-spoken charm that made girls laugh too easily. And I had been careful, painfully careful. I tucked my feelings into corners, folded my longing between class notes and laundry days, so when he knocked on my bedroom door at 1:17 a.m., I assumed something was wrong. Hey, Jason whispered. His voice was dry, eyes glassy in the dim hallway. Light. He rubbed the back of his neck like he was ashamed of something. You awake? I sat up. Yeah, what's up? He hesitated, then stepped in without waiting. I had a nightmare. Stupid, I know. Just can't get back to sleep. Mind if I crash in here for a bit? I blinked, still trying to bridge the gap between dreaming and waking. Yeah. Sure, of course. He closed the door quietly behind him, like the night would shatter if he let it click too loud. Jason had never done anything like this before. Not once in 2 years. But he climbed into the bed beside me like it was normal, like we had done it 1,000 times. He kept to his side, but I could feel the tension in his breath, the quiet rhythm of someone pretending not to be scared. Was. It bad? I asked softly. He stared at the ceiling. I was lost in a house that kept changing. Couldn't find the door. Every room looked like mine, but wasn't. Then I heard someone crying. I think it was me. His voice cracked on the last word, and something inside me tightened. I nodded slowly. That sounds, heavy, He gave a half laugh. Yeah, I guess it just shook me, Silence stretched between us. The fan whirred above. Somewhere outside, a car passed, headlights sweeping across the walls. Then he said it. I know it's dumb, but I just didn't want to be alone. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to say you're not alone. I wanted to touch him, hold him, undo all the nights I pretended I didn't want more, but I didn't move. Thanks, he murmured. You always make things feel less messed up. He turned onto his side, facing me now. I could feel the heat of him, the weight of unspoken things. I ever tell you you've got calm eyes? He asked. I chuckled nervously. No, that's a new one. It's true, he said, barely above a whisper. It's like you look at people without judging them. That's rare. I wanted to answer, but his hand found mine under the blanket. He didn't say anything. Just held it. For a moment, time stopped. His fingers were warm, strong, shaking slightly. My heart raced so loud I thought he might hear it, but I didn't pull away. Neither did he. We lay like that for what felt like forever too. Silhouettes in a room that had never known this kind of silence. Then his breathing slowed. He had fallen asleep, still holding on. I didn't sleep. Not really. I watched the shadows crawl across the ceiling and let his hand anchor me to the moment. I listened to him breathe and memorized the sound like it meant something. And somewhere between dusk and dawn. I stopped pretending I was over him. I should have let go. I should have reminded myself that Jason had a girlfriend, that he was just scared, that people say things in the dark they don't mean in daylight. But I didn't. I held his hand a little tighter, because deep down, I knew this night would change something. I just didn't know how far it would go, or how much I'd lose when the morning came. Jason didn't talk about that night. The next morning. He woke up, stretched, and grinned like we hadn't fallen asleep hand in hand. Like nothing had shifted. He threw on his hoodie, muttered something about class, and walked out of my room as if his body hadn't curled around mine in the dark just hours before and I like a fool said nothing. Days passed. Things settled into a strange rhythm. He started showing up more at night. Not every night, but often enough that it became routine. He'd knock, say he couldn't sleep, slide under my sheets, and fall asleep facing me. He never touched me again, at least not directly. But he didn't need to. His nearness was an anchor, and I clung to it like it meant something real. Asterisk, I told myself it was innocent. A comfort thing. A phase, asterisk, but every time he walked past his own room to come to mine, he carried a piece of me with him. And I let him, asterisk. Haven't been sleeping much lately, he said one evening, eyes heavy with something unspoken. My mind won't shut up unless I'm in here. Asterisk, he had a girlfriend, Myra. She was sweet, funny, gorgeous. But lately she was just a name he mentioned with increasing disinterest. Asterisk, she says I'm distant, he admitted one night. She thinks I'm hiding something. I looked at him, unsure if I was the secret or the consequence. Jason sighed. It's just ... different with you. I don't have to explain anything. Asterisk, I wanted to ask what exactly are we doing then? But I was afraid of the answer. Instead, I just nodded, giving him space to fill the silence, space he never used. Asterisk, the night it happened. It was raining. One of those soft, endless drizzles that blurred the world into quiet. Asterisk, the power went out around midnight. Jason showed up at my door, hoodie damp, hair clinging to his forehead. No words this time, just a look. A hollow one, asterisk, I stepped aside. He walked in, asterisk, we lit a single candle and sat on the bed, the flame flickering between us like it could read secrets we hadn't yet said. Asterisk. She thinks I'm cheating, Jason muttered suddenly, my breath caught. He ran his hands through his hair. She says I'm not with her even when I'm there. That I've gone somewhere else, and maybe she's right? The air tightened. I don't know what I'm doing, he whispered. With her. With me, with you. Asterisk, I didn't move. I didn't speak. Because part of me had been waiting for this moment, waiting and dreading it. Asterisk, Jason looked at me, then really looked. Eyes full of fear and hunger and something dangerously close to tenderness, and then he leaned in. The kiss was slow, unsure, his lips trembled against mine. It wasn't fiery or reckless, it was the kind of kiss that begged for forgiveness before it even began. Asterisk, I should have stopped it. I should have reminded him who he was, who he loved, who I wasn't, but I didn't. The candle burned lower. We didn't speak again. Asterisk clothes slipped away, not in lust but in silence, like we were undressing pain rather than bodies. He moved like someone trying to forget himself. And I let him use me as the place where forgetting was possible. Asterisk, it wasn't wild, it wasn't loud. It was fragile, desperate, intimate in a way that felt like a secret screamed into a pillow. Asterisk, afterward. He lay beside me, breathing fast, eyes wet but silent. Asterisk, I don't know what this means, he said. I don't know what's wrong with me. I turned away before he could see the way my throat closed up. We didn't fall asleep that night. Asterisk, by morning. Jason was already dressed, standing at the door with his back to me. Asterisk, last night was just comfort, okay? He said, not turning around. Asterisk, I nodded. He didn't wait for anything more. The door closed softly behind him, but the silence it left was deafening. The morning after felt like winter had crept into my bones, even though the sun was out. Asterisk, Jason didn't text. Didn't return for his usual late-night knock. The air in the apartment felt thinner, like we'd burned all the oxygen the night before. And forgot to make more. Asterisk, I wanted to believe he was just processing things, that he'd come back with an apology or, if I dared, hope a confession. But deep down, I knew. Asterisk, whatever had happened between us wasn't love. It wasn't even confusion. It was escape. 2 days later, I heard laughter from the living room. Myra, she was sitting on the couch, arms draped over Jason's shoulder like nothing was wrong. He smiled when she kissed his cheek. Smiled like he hadn't torn me open in the dark. Asterisk, I stood frozen at the hallway's edge. Unseen, like a ghost in my own home. Jason caught my eye for the briefest second. Then he looked away. Asterisk, that night. He didn't come to my room. Asterisk, the next night I left my door open on purpose, like an invitation written in silence. Still, he never came. Eventually I closed it. Not just the door, but everything? The parts of me that had cracked open too. Let him in began to seal over. Shame was a plaster. Regret was the sting. Asterisk, but healing. That hadn't started yet. Asterisk one evening while he was alone in the kitchen, I confronted him. Asterisk, you're just going to pretend nothing happened? I asked, voice low. Asterisk, Jason didn't look at me. He poured water slowly into a glass like he needed the motion to stall the moment. Asterisk, he spoke after a long pause. What do you want me to say, Eli? Asterisk, that it meant something, I whispered. That I wasn't just a mistake you made in the dark. Asterisk, Jason turned to me, eyes hollow. You knew I wasn't like that. You knew I had a girlfriend. You shouldn't have let it happen. The words hit like ice water down my spine. I almost laughed. You came to me? He set the glass down, walked past me without another word. I stood there for a long time after, staring at the water slowly going still in his glass, wishing I could do the same. The next week he moved out. No explanation, no argument. Just a quiet mention that he found a place closer to Myra's job. He packed quickly, like the walls were closing in. I didn't ask him to stay. I didn't offer help. Asterisk, he left a hoodie behind. The one he wore that night. Asterisk, I kept it for a while. Tried to return it once, but he never responded. So I folded it, tucked it in the back of my closet, and tried not to open that drawer again. Life moved on, or pretended to. People stopped asking. About Jason, Myra stopped visiting. And I learned to stop replaying that night like it had ever been anything more than a detour in someone else's journey. Asterisk, but sometimes, when I couldn't sleep, I'd remember his words. Asterisk, you always make things feel less messed up. Maybe that's all I ever was to him, less messed up than wherever else he didn't want to be. Still, on rare nights when the silence gets too loud and memory stirs like a ghost, I think about that first knock, the trembling in his voice, the hand in mine, the kiss we never spoke about, the lie we wrapped ourselves in like a warm blanket. Asterisk, Jason said he had a nightmare that night. Asterisk, but I think I was the one who never woke up. Asterisk.